when we look at the Book of Chronicles, it's ironic when you look at Chronicles, to chronic, to circle, to record, and the time of Libra, the recordings, the bookings. So when you look at the Book of Chronicles and the counting of kings' reign and the sons of
I be stuttering
Jacob,
like a motherfucker.
whose name was changed to Israel. And you look here in First Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and you see one of the sons of Israel, Issachar, whose son Tula, in this location here in Mesoamerica of the Temple of the Warriors. When you look at Issachar and their violency and their mightiness, it's in regards to being Gabar, warriors. So when you look at the Golden State Warriors and these things that have been personified here in the coast here of California, the eastern border of the Pacific, down into Mesoamerica, when you look at these warriors of the Golden Coast here in California and the ancient priesthood, the Jaguar priesthood, and the anointing oneself in the black soot, the messe or the crocodile oil or the anointing oil, we understand a giant lizard or Basilsaurus, king lizard, and the anointing and the messe, the crocodile, and Meshi. You understand Meshi?
You see that black
and the naming of Mexico,
covering,
and it's
smudging
connection in the Hebrew language.
that
The
is
crown
Christian.
prince, and you look at Chronicles, chronicling, and kingship, and the counting
Bring it out,
of the
cuz.
reigns of kings.
Yeah, cuz.
You
Bring
look
that
at the
shit out.
reigns of kings, the cycles, the
Why
rings,
they give me dropping?
and
Go ahead, cuz.
the significance of the covenant, the ark.
Right.
When you look at the 13 and the 13
Oh,
realms
nigga, that move
and the
shit.
9 realms of the underworld
Right,
and the
talk that
circumnavigation and the calculations of these ancient calendars and the Book of Chronicles, you see here that these men were known in Israel
Famous.
to observe the heavens and give commandment to the children of Israel on what they should do.
So when you look
So
at
when
being
you see
famous, that renowned,
Significance here, the
giant,
Jaguar Lord, the Jaguar priest,
in
which is
regards to
called
your
Balaam. And
not
when you look at
necessarily your size of your
in
body.
Hebrew, when dealing with eminence and the brightness, the aura of these individuals who have reached this 13. We understand 13
Niggas had
moved the
elevated.
mother and the
Niggas had
into the
elevated their
realms of the
consciousness to
unknown.
a whole nother level.
They were able to form different types of measures, different type of calendars. We understand
They
these
was able
areas
to be
here, the
out of
burial
body
ground,
and
the burial
look
grounds,
at
the
things
mound
outside
building
of
culture
themselves.
here. When you look at the mounds, the burials, the purpose of the Jaguar priesthood, and to go into the underworld. This solar barge, or the sun was seen to ride on this boat through the underworld, through these 10, 90-minute stages that it would go through the underworld to reach the other 180 degrees on the other side for the sunrise. So the sunset and sunrise in this path into the night sky of the sun, it was seen the process of going into this underworld was to ride the chariots or to ride the solar boats. When you see the calculation and the chronicling and the calculation of time, you'll notice the solar barge, the funerary processions is in representation of the sun's path that it makes going from tropic to tropic. So when you look at these sons of Issachar being here in this region of the Maya, we understand the Maya and the 13 and the significance with the 13, the waters, the strong waters, the binding waters, where life, we understand the mother, the primordial beginnings and the primordial formations of the earth, the Americas still had some of those structures survive from the prehistoric period. So that was the significance from the old world, what we think is the old world in the Eastern Hemisphere, not realizing the new world and how ancient this new world of the Americas, from the Virgin Islands and the Caribbean Islands all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So this landmass, the Maya and the Shakamu. When we were talking earlier about Baal, the lightning, the rain gods, we understand Mesoamerica and this ancient connection with fertility gods, maize, corn deities, and things of this nature. You have to understand in the beginnings in the Bible, Cain and Abel. Cain strikes Abel in death. We understand Abal, and the bowl and the mu, it being in the Pacific Ring of Fire in this
plate. When you look at the oceanic plates,
mu,
the tectonic
death
plates.
in Hebrew, mut. We understand death in mut, in the kiss of death, in the place where the sun would die. This Tropic of Capricorn, which is December 21st, in our calendar, was so significant until the spring when the sun would be, or the soul would seem to be resurrected. This is why these civilizations, the Maya, constructed civilizations with Venus aligned with the equatorial equinoxes to give these different illusions in their monuments and their structures, to help calculate and to know when the balance of the equinox takes place from the spring and also in the fall. So these navigations, when you look at the burial of the fallen, the dead, and Hallows Eve, the crossing of the soul, these celebrations are not new. We understand the Day of the Dead and Jacob's burial and the location of the Grand Canyon and the caves and the monuments found there of Amunet, the goddess of the west, the she goddess of the west, the golden goddess. Place where the sun would die. This Tropic of Capricorn, which is December 21st, in our calendar, was so significant until the spring when the sun would be, or the soul would seem to be resurrected. This is why these civilizations, the Maya, constructed civilizations with Venus aligned with the equatorial equinoxes to give these different illusions in their monuments and their structures, to help calculate and to know when the balance of the equinox takes place from the spring and also in the fall. So these navigations, when you look at the burial of the fallen, the dead, and Hallows Eve, the crossing of the soul, these celebrations are not new. We understand the Day of the Dead and Jacob's burial and the location